And joining us is Walt Hill. He is the Executive Director of the High Plains Mental Health Center in Hays. And we've got a series talking about what's going on in agriculture and particularly mental health and why it's so important. And so, Walt, in this segment, I want to kind of talk about the process. And so the first step, I think, is, when you get to that point where, I need some help. Something isn't quite right. So, do I call you or another center directly? Do I go to the doctor? Maybe I don't go to the doctor very often. Do I tell just what happens?
There really is no wrong answer, no wrong door. The important thing is to reach out to someone. The second most important thing is if that one door doesn't work, try another one. So go into your pastor, to your family doctor, a friend, or call your local mental health center. When you call a counselor, typically we will set up a time for you to come in and sit down and talk with us about an hour about what's happening, what kind of maybe symptoms you're having of depression, what symptoms of anxiety, to help understand what's going on and maybe gets in the way. One of the big problems with depression and anxiety is it begins to shut down your ability to think about options. And what we want to sort through is how bad is that depression or anxiety that's closing down your ability to think about how to think through your problems and come up with solutions. So you talk with a counselor. It's not like the people imagine where you come in and you notice I don't have a couch here in my office, kid. You come in and talk like this. We would ask you some questions about symptoms, what's happening, stresses you're experiencing, any family history with depression or anxiety or substance use. And then come out, if there's a mental health issue going on, we'll talk to you about that and what could be done about that. It may be some talk therapy. Sometimes it's medication to help readjust the neurotransmitters in your brain that get affected when you're under so much stress. It gets to the point that you need a rebalancing of what's called the serotonin system with antidepressants to get things back stable. It's kind of like stabilizing pH in a farm pond or something. So we work on setting up a treatment plan.
So is there kind of a boilerplate treatment plan, or is it all kind of depend? It may be a couple of times, it may be ongoing, or?
It really depends. Sometimes it's a few sessions. Sometimes someone comes in and they think something's terrible, and we say, no, that's fairly normal and you're doing a pretty good job. And maybe some suggestions. Sometimes it's 4 or 5 counseling sessions. Generally we try to stick to 4 or 5, then see where things are at. We may refer you to a psychiatrist or a nurse practitioner to look at some medication. Sometimes we may ask you to go see your family doc because there may be some other things going on physically that may be getting in the way with medical concerns, thyroid problems, hypertension, diabetes, various kinds of things. So it really is individualized based on what we hear, and the most important thing is you give us the full picture so we can give the best advice to you about what we think is best to help move on past this point.
It's Walt Hill, who is Executive Director of the High Plains Mental Health Center in Hays. We'll have more coming up.